Okay, here's your soundboard. This is the Yamaha MGP12X mixing console. This came from Guitar Center. It's about 10 years old. It's a hybrid analog and digital soundboard, meaning it has some analog capabilities, and it's got 2 channels that have the digital stuff. It also has some built-in effects, and I sent Rob a YouTube playlist that explains everything. But what I've done is labeled everything on here. Your Shure mic 1, your Shure mic 2, the black mic, the blue mic, the Bluetooth sound, and then your main speakers. This main slider right here goes to the main speakers, and then this is your aux 2 and your aux 1. These are your master auxes. One is for the stage monitor and one's for OBS. So when it comes to sound equipment, the main goal, I guess, is to get all the signals from all the channels to come in with a decent line level. So you want them to average around 0 on the meter. Most of the time they're below. If they go above, that's called clipping, and that's not good. So you want all the signal to come in here so that whenever you have the headphones on and you want to hit these buttons here where you want to just listen to one channel at a time through the headphones to make sure it sounds good, it doesn't blow you away because relatively all the channels are at the same volume. So then you can use the faders to do the fine tuning and say, okay, this mic is a little loud. You can bring it down a little bit. You really don't want to boost things. You really want to trim them back. So we use the gain knobs up here to set the levels, which I've already done. And then we've got the master fader here that if we want to fade it out, we can fade it, gradually. And then we have these 2 knobs. One of this is going to control that stage speaker over there so that the vocalists can hear themselves. An important thing to note is channels have to be turned on, and this little red button here that says ST means send it to the stereo mix. So those have to be pushed, these red buttons, so that the sound goes over here, and then it can control. And then of course the main one has to be on. If you turn that off, there's nothing goes to the speakers. And then of course your FX, and I just turned a little bit of reverb on for the mics, not too much, because too much and it sounds like a special effect, and you don't really want. You might want a little bit of help, but you don't want a special effect. And the compressor, I started with just a little bit of compressor. We can decide if we need to adjust that. It just really depends on who's doing the singing, if they need that or not. And then the only EQ, I messed with the EQ for the Bluetooth because there was a frequency in here that didn't sound very good, so I'm taking out that one frequency so the speakers sound better. And then of course the FX have to be turned on if you want to use effects, and the sliders have to be up. So in order for sound to be used, you've got a couple of things. The channel has to be on, the fader has to be up, there has to be sufficient gain, and then you can hear it out the speakers. But we're maintaining these 2 auxiliary channels. These don't care about the EQ, and they don't care about all this fancy. They just send the levels through. So that's important whenever we start sending stuff over to OBS through your Focusrite. So the other thing I was telling Rob is on this board, you'll see the little white triangles. And the white triangles are like the default setting. So we adjust the gains up here so that all these can be pretty much set on 0, or what they call unity is 0. It means we're not boosting it and we're not taking away from it. So if we use this so that we can mostly leave everything leave the main one at 0, leave everything here at 0, and it sounds good in the room, we've kind of done our job. And then we can make the fine tweaks and fine tuning. Now ultimately the amount of loudness in the room is controlled by the volume on the loudspeaker. So you really have 3 places. You got this speaker, that speaker, and the one on the floor. So those are the master controls of how loud stuff gets. So you kind of want to adjust that to the loudest you ever want it to be, and then we can pull it down here. or adjust it to where it sounds great, leave all this stuff on 0, adjust the knobs there till you get the loudness the way you like it. We're not blowing everybody away. And then you can make fine tuning. But that's the whole process of setting this up. Like I said, I sent Rob a lot of videos. This looks a lot different than it did. We were up here at about 10 o'clock the other night getting it cleaned up and trying to get the cords where you can walk around. And then whenever it's time for ministry time and you move the podium, you have to move the podium back, you have to move the stands back, but then you can just, turn off that stage monitor and move it back, and then it'll be out of the way. And then I think we still have sufficient space for ministry time, but I just wanted to let you guys know. Talk to you later.